Conversations with Z.
The month of May is Lupus Awareness Month. Lupus is an autoimmune disease that occurs when your body's immune system attacks your own tissues and organs. Inflammation caused by lupus can affect many different body systems, including your joints, your skin, kidneys, blood cells, the brain, the heart, and even the lungs. Welcome to Conversations with Z. My name is Zamakateni, and I'm back with you again. Today we're going to be looking at lupus, and joining me in studio is Ncebakazi Bana, who has been living with lupus for over 6 years now. Hi Nceba, how are you?
Hi Zuma, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Welcome to Conversations with Z. So Nceba, I know you very well, but can you just tell us a bit about yourself for those that don't know you?
Okay, my name is Ncebakazi, my surname is Bana. I'm a 42-year-old mother of 3 who has been living in Joburg for past 7 years. I work as a teacher, and as Uzama said earlier on, I was diagnosed with lupus in 2018, the type that's called LSLE.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And that actually leads to my next question to say, when were you diagnosed with lupus and what led to your diagnosis?
Okay. I was diagnosed in 2018. The question about what led to diagnosis, there were a lot of things. I've been sick, different illnesses, like I had different illnesses from my skin, having issues with my lungs, which the doctors didn't know what was wrong because I've never smoked, I've never drank, having issues with my heart. And I was treated for various things and going to various doctors. I had issues with my joints. For example, I would sleep, and when I'm trying to turn at night, I suddenly can't turn. My arms are locked, those type of things. And I even started losing my hair, and still doctors were just treating me for that and that. I was seeing different professionals being treated for different things. Until 2018, I can't remember the exact month, when now the whole fatigue and all other symptoms came together, and I started developing a rash on my face. Now, when the doctor saw that, the doctor I was consulting with saw the rash on my face, said to me, okay, now can we do one more test called ANA test? They did that.
Sorry, what is it called?
ANA.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Test for ANA.
Okay.
They did that test. It was on Tuesday. When I came back on a Thursday, that's when they told me that you have lupus. Yeah.
Did you even know what lupus was at the time?
I did.
Okay.
And to be honest, I was suspecting lupus as well. I have a friend from back at varsity who had lupus, and we had also did some campaigns and walks on lupus. Though I didn't know details about it, but I knew there was something called lupus, and I sort of knew other things because this friend of mine couldn't even have kids because of that. Yeah.
And now when you get this diagnosis now, what is the first thought that crossed your mind?
I think my thought is very different from other people. For me, I was relieved because now I know what I'm dealing with. For me, I had a sense of relief. I remember that Thursday very well. I was with my daughter. It's like, now I know what I'm dealing with. It has a name. Do you understand? It was a sense of relief for me because now I felt like, at times when you get sick with so many things, you even question yourself, am I making this up? Like, why am I so exhausted all the time? Why can't I get up? What is happening to me? And because this has been going on for a very long time, even people at home, they started suspecting other traditional witchcraft things because I'll come back home, I'll sleep, the next thing I can't get up. Like my joints can't move, So for me, it was a relief to actually get the diagnosis. I felt like I was sort of empowered by being diagnosed because now I know what I'm dealing with, So, yeah.
And how has your life changed since then?
I'm more careful about what I do. For example, a simple thing is me and sunlight, avoid. sunlight. Totally.
Sure. And we're normally encouraged to, to spend time in the sun and all of that.
And for lupus, it's a no-no.
Sure. Okay.
I'm more careful.
And you also then always have to have like sunscreen
all the time. Like right now, I'm sitting with
winter.
you. Yes, I'm sitting with you. I've got sunscreen. I've got sunscreen in my bag right now. I carry sunscreen everywhere.
Sure.
I'm very sensitive. I like every time, like with my children go to the beach, you find that I'm sitting in the car. I get out for 2 minutes and I get in because it doesn't like the sunlight. I cannot, for example, go out and jog. You understand? And at times now and then I used to like having those afternoon walks and whatever. I try to avoid those as well because I've seen the consequences of that. If I have to do it, even with hats on, at times the negative effects, one of the things. And some of the things it has changed my life is I've never really been a person who goes out a lot, but that has reduced quite a lot as well because I avoid anything that's going to make me tired, because usually I'm just tired from also doing nothing already. I avoid anything that's going to make me tired. And also it has changed the way I deal with my weekends, for example, because there's certain medication which is quite strong, which I need to take at least some medication I take once a week. For example, I chose Friday nights to take it, which means my Saturday mornings, I cannot do things like drive. I cannot do, when I've taken that medication, I get dizzy. You cannot expect me to do anything too academic along those ways, do you understand? So there's many changes. For example, like I feel like even if I have to do the most minor thing, I need to be told way in advance so that I work around my medication and on how to deal with it. Because another thing about lupus is not only a physical disease, it also affects your emotions and your brain. So mind block is one of the things that really I'm struggling with. So if I decide to work on something, I try to work on it and finish, because if I work on it and I leave it and I try to come back, it's a struggle to focus. So it's more a mental thing for me. People usually look at the physical aspect of it, but the mental thing for me, it's a key thing, especially because I teach. The focus, training yourself to focus and to do things, focus on them and finish them, because when you come back, it might not be, you might feel like you're starting from scratch because your mind can't flow as it used to. Yeah.
And would you say that you have fully accepted that you are living with lupus? And if you have, how long did it take you for you to just make peace with it and accept, it's okay, no, I've got lupus?
I think I fully accepted. I think I was forced to fully accept. The same year I was diagnosed, 2018, towards the end of that year, I won't forget this. When I had already a diagnosis, I was already on treatment. I had already contacted people I know with lupus about how to deal with. I've got friends who are doctors. I was like, what to do by everyone. I just contacted everyone, right? And I thought I'd accept it, right? And I thought I'm having this in control. But going to work one day, normal day, come back from work one day, and at night I still can't get up, and I'm taking all the right medication. I'm doing everything right. Like I'm doing everything right for months and I can't get up. And my first thought was not hospital. It was like, just lie down. Find a way of not going to work. The next day you're going to be fine. But instead of getting fine, I'm getting worse. And it landed me, I don't like ambulances. But in that time, my children and my sisters couldn't get me up. They had to carry an ambulance and to put me up on a stretcher, I think for me that process made me realize never accept this thing and its trauma. Maybe you thought you've accepted it and you were carrying on with life as normal. There needs to be changes. So I feel like that November, first week of November, when I was actually lying down in the hospital and I couldn't walk. I had to use what you call old people to push myself, and because I didn't want to sit on the bed, I wanted to go in bath and stuff like that. I had to accept, Neba, you've got this condition. And I was around other couple of people with the same condition, worst off. I had to accept that I have this. And then in that acceptance, accept that there are certain changes I will need to make, you know, within my life, around my life, how I react to, how I interact with people, kind of even limit the things I used to do because I was involved in a number of things. So, yeah, I think I've accepted, but it's a process. There are still days, even 6 years down the line, where I dab into things that I know I shouldn't be dabbing into. You know, maybe the type of food I shouldn't be eating, and I still dab into it, and I'm like, I'll deal with the consequences a bit later. You know.
Sure, that's a tough one. And so, are you going to have to be on medication for the rest of your life?
Yes, I am medication for the rest of my life, and my medication changes all the time.
Does it change based on sort of what you're going through at that particular time?
Yes. For example, because the lupus I have, it's called systematic. It touches every single aspect of my body. Okay. It could be ruining my teeth at this time, gum issues this time. Now it's as late for the past 2 years. I've got what we call GERD, which is another condition caused stomach. Digestive issues always been another issue. Also, it added another diagnosis with my lungs. Okay, it's a lung disease, which my medication is to now treat the lungs as well. And the suspecting scleroderma, which is another condition, terminal condition. My skin thickening, my arteries getting closed up. So I go through tests quite often. And because I go through tests quite often, for example, my medication changes because of that. For example, my lung function test, suddenly I'm treatment for lungs and this and this. It happened for a couple of months, then I had complication, need to be changed. So I'm forever on different types of medication on different times. Yeah.
So has having lupus changed your life decisions and maybe even the plans that you had?
It has. It has. It has. Because I'm just thinking, in terms of career-wise, there's certain things I wanted to do. I started studying already, no? But even in my studies, just to improve my studies, for me, I felt like this is not things that I know. You know, generally, I don't usually struggle with academics, you know, because there's due days. I've never struggled with things like that, but it takes so much effort, you know, and I even asked myself, is there a way of actually going to a varsity and producing that I'm dealing with this thing so that maybe there's a leeway, but at the same time, I don't want that leeway, you know? Like, I felt like I had to drop out on certain things, like my studies, because I felt like I am not coping. I am not coping with this, and I am not coping with making excuses about why can't I do certain things on time. So kind of like it affected my career as well, because I was thinking, job-wise, if I have to go to a more demanding job, what is going to happen? Do you understand? Like, what I do right now is teach. I can plan in the afternoon what I'm going to do tomorrow and next weekend, whatever. But let's say in a place when you have to juggle things, 9 to 5 every day and all that, or travel somewhere, I cannot do that. I have to accept that there's certain things I cannot do because of this condition. And also knowing certain people who are doing those jobs and had to quit because suddenly they can't drive or suddenly they can't do this and this. So it did change my life in quite a number of ways. Yeah.
So, Nceba, what role does your mindset play, on a daily basis?
Sure. That's one part that you really, really have to work on. Before this, I never really was good on affirmations and stuff like that. But I've made it a habit for me and my kids to do those affirmations every day in order to, to put yourself even positive, even things when don't looking that positive. For example, one of the things I do for myself when I'm actually feeling like really, really low is think about probably my previous visit to the doctors. Because I know this sounds wrong, but to another person, but I always feel like I'm doing better off than other people. Do you understand? It's very important to work on your mind. I think that's a key part. The battle is mostly here, and also just having sort of a tick exercise in your head. For example, simple things like I got up. It's a big thing. I'm bathed.
So an attitude of gratitude.
Yes, actually be grateful by about what you did. You know, small things you wouldn't normally do. Think of getting up and taking a bath and actually getting to work. It's usually you do it, you don't even think about it. But I've learned to do that. I've learned to be thankful, you know, even say it at work. I'm like, I am here, the main thing. So you need to work on that. Be grateful for small things. Be grateful. And also when it comes to your mindset, actually be okay by not doing certain things. You know, like my mindset, I had to change a lot of things within my house, like simple things as dishes in the sink. Nobody's gonna die if they can't be done because you're exhausted to do that.
And tell me, when did you get the mindset piece right? Do you feel that you were positive already in 2018 after getting your diagnosis, or did it take some time for you to get to a point where you were like, no, mentally I'm strong, my mindset is strong, I'm going to fight this thing, I'm going to affirm myself on a daily basis? Was there a gap, or it was easy for you to just, you know?
For me, it wasn't just, it's not a straight line. I think when I got the diagnosis, I thought I've accepted to go to this thing. That's why I contacted people, everyone I know, read as much. I thought I've accepted. And I was like, I'm going to fight this thing, you know. I thought I was fine. But I recall one of the lapses, what you call flares, when I had one of the flares again, when I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything, you know. And I was positive, you know, about this thing, but this thing still hit me in my positive space. And I was booked off, I think, for about 2 weeks, a week, then another week, I couldn't move. There's a day, a particular day, where I woke up. I didn't wake up. I didn't even sleep. I sat in the lounge, sitting room, on the floor. I was sick. It was a Saturday. On the floor. And I think that's where my positive mindset started. I spoke to God, basically. I'm going to call it prayer, speaking. I said, I'm going to raise my children. I said, I'm going to raise my children. And I'm not going to raise them sleeping in bed. I'm going to get up and do things. That time I couldn't move, I couldn't do things. But that day, after taking that decision, I think it's quite funny. I started cooking at 4 a.m. It was a Sunday, and I went to church. For me, that day for me was a decision. A day I made a decision that anything that comes, I count back to that day. I said I took a decision that day. And when I took that decision, didn't sleep, I call it maybe my own whole night prayer. Though I wasn't praying, I was just declaring. I think for me, that's where things started changing for me. Not that things didn't get hard, they got hard. But, you know, I don't know if you can think about Zama, walking around with your face pink here.
Sure. Yeah, I respect you.
So you had, you know, actually you had to take in certain things from people, especially you love, that you are more than your face, you're more than what you look, you know. So, and actually write it down for myself as well, that if I was able to face that world with my face like that, you can't hide your face. I could hide my legs when my body was going, hide my body, but this thing was right here. I had to say, I'm more than this. I am more than my face. I'm more than this. It didn't come out all clear, easy, you know, but it was a step-by-step, daily of saying, be positive. You're going to be okay. You are okay. You took a decision. You are alive. You know, that type of thing. Yeah.
And just how would you encourage someone else who's maybe watching, who's also, you know, has a chronic illness? It might be something else, but it's a chronic illness. What would you say to them?
I actually got a couple of people in my life who are diagnosed with lupus, which I'm kind of like, you call it mentor or whatever. The main thing I tell them is, more than your appointments with the doctors, various doctors, there's one thing you need to accept, that not everybody is going to fully understand what you're going through. Because I advise them, like, accept that. Accept that. Because this whole thing of wanting to be understood is going to drive you crazy and make you even more sick, because you're trying to make people understand. Accept that people are not going to fully understand what you're going through. Okay? That's the first step. And then as you attend your doctors, listen to your body more than anything else. Doctors are good, but know your body. That's what advice I'll give people, because my experience has been in the cases where doctors were saying, do this. And I'll be like, I did this the last time, it didn't work for me. I am not doing that again, you know? And it takes you knowing your own body, knowing yourself to even say no to a medical professional who studied this thing, you know? So that's one advice I usually tell people, to know yourself, know what's going in your body. As you're following your own treatment, also, another thing, it's very important to get connected with people who've been through this thing for a longer period of time. Sort of even support groups with Facebook, even or WhatsApp group, whatever. So that at times you can just say, this is happening to me. You'll find that those people can give you different ways of how to manage a certain situation, which maybe your doctor didn't address. Speak up about your condition, you know? And as you speak up, you also learn more on how to deal with certain aspects of the condition that you are facing. Yeah.
And you mentioned when you were giving us an introduction to who you are, you mentioned that you are a mother. How do you stay strong for your children? Because I'm just guessing it can't be easy.
I think those people actually make me strong by just being there. And also, I think another thing is the times I've been really, really, really sick and I couldn't get up. I saw what it did to my children. Even to this day at times, when they talk about it, they even cry. I saw what it did to my youngest, my son. Every time I sleep, like when I'm exhausted and I sleep in bed during the day, he will automatically get in and try to give me food. I can see his fear. So I think what motivated me at time to get up is I don't want my children to live in fear of death, their mother going away. I think that they actually motivate me by knowing what they, you know, even when I'm feeling so low, I know to get up out of bed because I know what it does to them. The trauma, the fear, you know. So not wanting my children to be in the spaces that I've seen them in, a very horrible spaces of fear of losing their mother, actually motivates me to get up and do something else. It motivates me to even attend certain doctors I don't want to attend because, you know, they're doing this for me so that I could be there for my children. Also, the decision I made on that day, particular day, that said, God, I want to raise my children. It keeps me strong as well to say, I want to raise my children. So these kids depend on me and I have to fight this thing, whichever way it comes. Yeah.
Okay. And in difficult moments, in moments where you are sick, in moments where you maybe can't get up, what keeps you going?
That might sound funny. It's different things. At times it could be calling somebody and say, I'm struggling. You know.
So calling someone who also has lupus, or just calling someone close in your circle?
They've got very close. I've got close people in my circle. But I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
I am not coping.
Yeah.
You know. At times that helps. Just being able to say it.
Yeah.
Honestly to another person.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe hearing from the other person saying, "You've been through this and you got out of it." You know, at times I think the mind gets clouded that you've been through a certain situation. You know, hearing another person says, you can beat this, never, you know. This is just another hurdle that you got to get over. So it does assist when I'm in those spaces. And also I do journal. I write quite a lot. I write a lot about my experiences, about what I'm going through. So that journaling also assists me to deal with the emotions at that time. Yeah.
And how was your pain threshold or your pain tolerance before you got sick? Have you always been someone that can, you know, take physical pain, or have you had to learn to endure pain, physical pain? Because I'm guessing, because it sounds like you go through a lot of different things, and I'm guessing that I'm sure some of these conditions, if I can use that word, I'm sure some of them are just physically painful, right? So have you had to learn to be able to tolerate pain?
I had to. Zama, before I was diagnosed, I knew that I couldn't tolerate a lot of physical pain. I know this with my last child when I had a Caesar.
Yeah.
And all nurses were like, you are the worst person ever. You know, I felt like I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. So I know that with lupus, I've learned to tolerate pain. You know, like in my head, I even have my own 1 to 10, you know, like in my head, I'll be like weighing my own pain without telling anybody, no, this is like a 3, you know, right now.
Yeah, no, I can take this.
I can take this, you know. 4, I can go to work and teach with a headache going on. Nobody's knowing anything and just not even complain about it. And it's gotten to a point that because I know I've got issues with liver and whatever, and all those things, so taking medication is not the first thing I run to, like pain medication. It's not the first thing I go to, that I've been given different pain medication, different schedules. So it's gotten to a point where I'll be in pain and I'll be just carrying on until the point when I feel like I really can't cope. You know, I think I've learned to tolerate pain. For example, let's say I'm walking with you, Zama, and then I'm feeling something like, at times it like my joints, I'll be like, maybe a scream will come out, but I've learned scream, monitor it, carry on.
Yeah. So you wouldn't even go to the doctor?
No, I don't jump to a doctor. I don't jump to a doctor. And what happens generally, nearly every medication I get, prescription has pain medication in it.
Oh, okay.
Different levels of pain medication. Okay. And nurses have even gave us strategies what to combine with what in order to last longer in your body, you know, for that medication to last longer, you know. And remember, Sama, I can't just go to any doctor generally because with lupus, it means certain medication, for example, antibiotics, which usually treat people who are ill, can't treat me. They're going to make me sick.
Sure.
So I cannot just go to any random GP at any time. So that's another change in my life. For example, I even fear moving to other places because then I'm going to be treated by a different person. If my rheumatologist is not close and I go to a certain doctor, which has happened before, and they gave me something because they thought, and then I reacted to it. So I don't run to a doctor all the time, but I know that option is open when I feel I can't cope. Yeah.
And how do you stay positive? Just, you know, from an attitude perspective, why do you not feel sorry for yourself?
I've got days I feel sorry for myself.
You do?
I've got days I feel sorry for myself. And I've actually allowed myself to have minutes of feeling sorry for myself. I think for me, it was needed because there are things, you can say I'm grieving that I can't do, you know? So I do allow myself. I do allow myself those days of feeling sorry for myself, but at the same time, keeping sort of a grateful journal assists when you have nothing to be grateful for. When you just take that journal and just read, I have this, my children are healthy, whatever, I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm breathing, I'm this and this and this and this. It does.
So what pulls you out of those, I'll call them, I don't want to say dark moments, but in that moment when you're feeling sorry for yourself, what pulls you out of that space?
I think that actually forcing myself to look at those journal things in my head or running them in my head, or even if the journal is not there, I'm sitting somewhere just to write about the small things that I'm grateful for.
So counting your blessings.
Yes, counting your blessings type of thing. And also I kind of like, in my head, timed that feeling sorry for myself minutes. I'm like, it can't go on for the whole day, you know, like you can't. Like I'll be like telling myself, get out of it now. You know, yes, this is happening, you can't do this, but there's so much more that you can do, you know. And not ignore those things, but just acknowledge them. It's painful that I can't do that. It's so sad that I can't do that. It's so sad that I have to do so much money for this instead of this, you know? Yeah.
And just any other words that you'd like to leave with someone who's maybe got lupus or someone who's got another chronic illness? Is there anything you want to share in closing?
Don't give up. That's one thing. Don't give up. And another thing, I will, especially a person who's into some lupus groups, if it harms you to see a death or somebody in hospital for a long time, it's better to get out. Because that's another thing that I felt like was putting me down at times. They'll be like, one man passed away, this person passed away, this person passed away. And I realized, okay, this is not benefiting me anymore.
Oh, you mean the WhatsApp group?
The WhatsApp group or whatever. I felt like this is not benefiting me anymore. it's not benefiting him anymore, because every time somebody in the hospital or we lost this person, I felt like I'm next. I have anxiety attacks. Know yourself, try to put yourself in a more positive environment, so I think that's advice. Don't give up. Talk to other people about challenges. Take it a day at a time. Be okay that you're going to cancel plans. That's another thing. Be okay that you're going to disappoint people that won't pitch up in the right things because your body is not allowing you to. Be okay with that. Yeah.
And how many types of lupus are there?
There are 5 different types, which I know.
Okay. Can you name them quickly?
It's SLE, which is the systematic one, which most people have.
The one you have.
Yes, it affects all organs. Then there's Discord lupus, which also usually affects only the skin. Okay. And then there's medically induced lupus, which maybe a person took certain medication. Once the medication gets off it, they can get out of that lupus. Then there's childhood lupus as well. I don't know much about it. And then they'll call it neonatal lupus, when a child is actually born with lupus. Yeah, they are born with it. Those are different types that I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think we take life for granted. We take health for granted.
Yes.
Because we wake up in the morning and we can move and we can walk to wherever we need to walk to, we then think that everyone has that. And I think just listening to you has made me realize that there are people out there who are dealing with a lot, and we always think, oh my gosh, I'm going through the worst. But there are real challenges out there. So thank you for just reminding us to be grateful for what we have, to be grateful for our health, to be grateful that we do not have a rash on our skin, How many pills do you take a day?
Right now, I need to count. Okay. Let's talk about last night. Last night, there's a 5 that I take, same type of pill, Metrosate, which I have to take 5 of them. They used to be 10, by the way, so I'm better. I take 5 Metrosate. I take, for my lungs, 2, chloroquine, folic acid. On a Friday nights, which is once I usually take about 10 none of those medications include pain medication. So on a daily basis, I take 4 pills in the morning and 4 pills late at night.
So about 8 pills a day.
Yes.
Yeah. I think for me that's just.
If in pain, then obviously the medication is going to be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me it's just your story is just encouraging me to be grateful, grateful for all that I have, to be grateful for the fact that I do not find myself in a position where I have to take, so many pills. And thank you also for sharing your journey. And I hope that, we have touched someone out there. I hope that someone is encouraged. I love the fact that, I like it when you were telling us how you had a conversation with God where you told him, I will raise my kids. And I think that's what we need to do when we're faced with whatever challenges we have. Sometimes it's hard, that you need to take charge and say, I will do this. I also love the fact that you're honest enough to still say, no, Zama, I also have those days where I feel sorry for myself. So the same woman that told God that she was going to raise her children is the same God that still has that off day where you also just feel like, but yeah, this is a bit too much. And I guess that's because you're human. That's the human element coming in. But you are strong, Neba. I wish you the long life that you have spoken over your life. And I hope that the pills decrease and decrease and decrease until you're only taking like just 2 a day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to you for watching. Appreciate your time. Please, if you haven't liked, like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If not, I will see you on the next one.